Hey everyone, welcome back to Pretending with Dice. As always, I'm your host and game master, AJ. Well, it has been a little bit of time, hasn't it, since our last episode. This is, of course, today our return from hiatus, and I've got to say I'm super glad to be back. I don't think we all intended for the hiatus to be quite as long as it was. Originally, I think it was just to get a few extra days of editing time after some real-life stuff had delayed an episode release, and that turned into, well, several months. But we're back now, and yeah, I can assure you we've been very busy while we've been away. We finished recording this final story arc of Frontier Season 2 back at the start of June. I think we actually had the final session, and yeah, well, no spoilers, but I'm super pleased with how it's turning out. You'll just have to keep tuning in every other week to find out for yourselves, though. We've also begun recording our return to the Fallout RPG, which is going to be airing following the end of Frontier Season 2. Eden is going to be stepping back into the GM's chair for that, which is super exciting. And following Fallout, we're in early planning stages, finally, for a Season 2 of our Star Wars series from way back in 2018, Tempest Squadron. This has been one of the most requested things for us to do over the past few years, and yeah, I've always wanted to do more Star Wars. Yeah, watch this space for more announcements on that soon. We will definitely have some news to share at some point. Finally, I think before we get into today's episode, I promise I'm not going to make you wait too much longer, I wanted to plug once again our Discord server. We've definitely mentioned it before in these intros, and I think I do every time almost in the little outro plug at the end of the episodes. But as we've just had a little bit of a revamp on the server, I thought this would be a good time to invite those of you who haven't yet made your way there to come and join us. Links to the server can be found on our website at pretendingwithdice.com. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, we'll see you all there. So yeah, I think without further ado, it's finally time to make our way back to the USS Tenzing and the mysterious Bermuda Cluster as we jump into today's episode. Enjoy. Captain's Log, Stardate 55143.5. Following our discovery of the alien outpost on BC 517b and our successful documentation of the data contained within it, it is my hope that the information we've gathered will provide some clues as to where in the star cluster we ought to head next. While we make our decisions on this matter, however, the Tenzing has left the outpost behind for now, rejoining our comrades from the USS Nelson in orbit of the system's fifth planet. They've been looking into a more pressing matter, the micro-singularity event which we observed on the system's edge. I want to begin in the ship's conference room. It is the morning meeting, and all of the senior staff are gathered around the table. On the view screen is the image of Lt Cmdr Skassol of the Nelson. If you recall, one of the two officers left in command of the Nelson, while its captain and a good proportion of the crew were returned to Deep Space 3 for further medical treatment following the crossing incident. She is the Nelson's science officer and has been giving a report on what they've been able to determine happened in the microsingularity incident, which you recently observed. Commander, these results, are you absolutely sure about them? The implications, if we're wrong, could be dangerous.
As sure as we can be. There wasn't much debris to be found, but metallurgical analysis of what we have is pretty much conclusive. The alloys involved don't occur in nature, and as far as we know, are used exclusively by the Romulan Navy in their starship hulls to optimize their cloaking process. Best guess is they followed us through the gateway, but didn't account for the volatility of the region and came in too hot. They must have damaged their singularity core's containment system. Not a great way to go.
Ooh. We should probably have continuous sweeps.
We should have our full satellite network in place in another day or so. It'll need ongoing maintenance because of the star's radiation, but should give us some early warning about approaching ships.
Good. What we don't want is to be caught off guard. So I recommend we probably stay at yellow.
Colin sort of nods to this. I don't like the idea of them skulking around out there. Who knows what they're up to?
Knowing the Romulans, they're looking to what we're doing and seeing if they can take any advantage of what we've discovered already.
Commander Talin leans forward at this moment. The Federation and the Romulan Star Empire are not currently at war. We have no reason to expect hostile action on their part.
No, but they've never exactly been forthcoming with anything either.
This is true, Commander. However, I would like to point out that this system, indeed the entire cluster, is not Federation space. Nor Romulan, for that matter. Do they not have as much right to be here as we do?
That's very true. Since the end of the Dominion War, there's been less aggression from their side and ours. We're discounting the possibility that they were just travelling into this region anyway. Maybe doing their own expedition, and as Commander said, didn't account for the turbulence they'd suffer trying to get through the gateway.
You're right. Relations have been a little less tense since the Dominion War. But we're not exactly allies. At any rate, they would have had to travel through Federation space to get here, and I don't recall seeing any advance notice from Starfleet. I doubt they got permission, especially given they were cloaked.
We could ask them, sir. Send out a signal and see if they respond.
Broadcast in the clear. It's a gamble. We don't really know if there's more of them out there.
Romulan ships never really go out on their own. There's usually another one lurking around.
Question. From the analysis, when you say it's the material is used on Romulan hulls, was there anything that indicated what type of Romulan ship it was, or were we just assuming it's a scout ship?
Afraid not, Commander. What debris we did manage to salvage was pretty minimal. Nothing big enough to be recognizable from a particular class of ship.
Right.
Those Romulan singularity cores are like a controlled black hole. When they implode, they tend to consume just about everything in the vicinity. We're lucky we got what we did.
Is there any possibility that we can still pick up remnants of the ship's ion trail? Even when cloaked, it has to emit something when it's travelling. So maybe if we can detect any trace of that, we'll be able to see if any others have come with it.
Might be worth a scan. I will say, I'll give you this for free, but with all of the extra radiation and everything in this system, that's going to be very tricky.
Be hard to tell it apart.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough.
Collins turns back to Skassol on the monitor at this point. Well, thank you for joining us, Lieutenant Commander. I'll pass your team's findings on to Starfleet Command when I make my report. They need to know we're not alone out here.
Thank you, Captain. Skassol out.
He turns back to the table. Okay, well, Murphy, keep us at yellow alert for the time being. Until we know exactly what's out there, we need to, I think, assume that there could be any number of Romulans about. We don't want to be caught unprepared.
Sure.
I'll appraise Starfleet Command of the situation, and we'll discuss whether to try and make contact. Last thing we want to do is cause some kind of incident.
Master.
As we've moved on a couple of days, I have a couple of sort of updates for you on the findings from the planet. Now that it's been a couple of days for the ship's departments to work through them. I say a couple of days. We're sort of early evening on the February the 20th was where we last were, and now it's kind of morning meeting on the 22nd. So not a huge amount of time's passed. You know, it's enough time for you, the ship to kind of move back over to the fifth planet and little bit of analysis to happen and that, but we're not picking up weeks later. It's only been a couple of days. But yeah, as I say, I do have some updates. I have some on the alien language, some on the star map. Which would you prefer to go through first?
I'd say go the alien language first.
Yeah? Okay. I don't think this would be like an in-character discussion. We can just say that this is a talk that's happening as part of the meeting, and then, any ideas you guys want to bounce around, we can just talk them through. So, essentially, with the documents that you scanned, one of them did have a few more references to this archaic Trill dialect. So that's been able to kind of provide a bit more of a key to cracking the code of the alien script that you've been finding in all the documents and everything related to that. Linguistics have come up with the beginnings of kind of a working language module thanks to this, and they think they're beginning to be able to do some sort of low-level translations, but sort of things like idioms, proper nouns, turns of phrase, and anything that's not like a sort of direct one-to-one kind of thing with the Trill is kind of out the question at this stage. But they've sort of starting, they've got a good sort of starting point, and they've been running some tests on some of the documents. They think they've been able to sort of start getting some stuff out of it that makes a little bit of sense. So with that in mind, was there anything you wanted to kind of that would be your priority, I guess, on that front?
Probably looking for anything relating to past events, historical events that may have occurred, or anything that pertains to the planet we found the text on.
Okay. You do have some stuff directly from the planet that might be relevant. The first thing you found actually was like the kind of marker stone in the village. So if you wanted to, you could sort of request that as a priority. As I say, you kind of scanned quite a lot of documents. If sort of historical stuff is what you're looking for, that you could definitely put that in as a sort of request of sort of keep an eye out for anything that seems to be of this sort of nature.
Yeah.
Obviously, now that you've got a working language module, not 100% working, obviously, it's getting there. The computers can be involved, and this can be a quicker process.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Put a priority on historical recordings, historical events, things like stuff that would have happened here, anything that documents what became of the place to start with, and then anything else we find whilst going through looking for those kinds of entries, we'll make notes of that as well. But the priority is to try and establish a timeline for the settlement.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll say that's where we're kind of at with the alien language then, and you've got like a plan of like where you want to sort of direct your people to go next.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So the other kind of major thing is the star map here. This is a bit more of, I think, a complete sort of analysis here. Essentially, the scans you took of the map down on the planet have been sort of investigated and assessed by stellar cartography, kind of compared to what you had already. It's definitely a more detailed map of the cluster than what the Tenzing have been working from. It definitely is of the cluster. The Tenzing's kind of been working from a map that's sort of derived from more kind of optical astronomy, just because up to now we haven't been able to get into the cluster, and subspace scans and stuff have been sort of deterred a little bit from being as effective as they normally would be at a distance, just because of the whole storm surrounding it and everything. So finding this kind of more detailed map has been a big help. In analysing it, though, they have sort of noted some changing positions of some of the stars on it, just slightly, but they're able to calculate that there's been approximately 200 years of stellar drift in the time from what the map you found shows and where the stars are now. Not a huge jump, but stars in star clusters tend to be a little bit younger stars than in the wider galaxy, and they do kind of tend to move around a little bit. There's a lot of gravitational pulls here and there and everything. Stellar cartography been able to calculate, like I say, approximately 200 years have passed since the map was made, and they've been able to account for that and adjust from it. I think I mentioned before, when you were sort of seeing points of light in the star map kind of lighting up in different colours and stuff, they've been able to identify approximately 70 what they now know are star systems that have some kind of marker on them in the original map. 20 to 30 of which seem to be sharing certain sort of iconography and text that implies that they are systems kind of... I think they've been talking to the language people just to get a little bit of a jump on some of the stuff. But the 20 to 30 systems which sort of seem to imply that they're part of the... or at least owned, or at least once owned by the aliens who made the map, if that makes sense. The biggest discrepancy, though, is the sort of central... geographically central system in the cluster, which also seems to be the home world and central system of the aliens, is missing from the Tenzing's current star map, which is odd considering it's based on what you can see. The system is no longer visible, and they've checked that from now. Even now, where you are now, that system cannot be seen, which is odd.
How do you lose a star system?
I think that's the biggest the biggest sort of odd discrepancy, though, like I say, is that it seems to be missing a pretty big and quite central star system. However, like I say, they've been able to kind of update the Tenzing's map that you've been working on with data from this and flag up what all of these sort of 70-ish star systems that have got some kind of marker on them, which you assume means that there's something going on in them. In doing this, they've been able to kind of pinpoint where you are on the map at the moment, which is being right on the edge of the cluster sort of puts you right on the edge of the map. The 3 closest points of interest, though, have been kind of flagged up. I think as part of this sort of briefing, we can say that this is all being talked out, by the senior staff. The 3 closest points of interest are actually, the first one is the one with the trill text in a system that's been at the moment flagged as BC 324. It's 3 days travel time, sort of a little bit kind of clockwise around the cluster. That's it, taking into account, still going pretty slow warp speeds, just to sort of just for safety's sake. Not quite as slow as you ended up taking that the crossing into the cluster immediately, but not fully like, okay, we're in here now, let's go warp 9 or anything like that. So that's the closest one. It's about 3 days travel around the cluster clockwise. There's another one just a little bit further away, but kind of almost directly into the cluster, BC 1048. That's again about 3.5 days travel. Not entirely sure what is there. There's no kind of text on the... Well, the letters have been translated, but I can give you the letters that have been translated, but it is not a word that you recognise, implying it's just like a kind of proper noun. And that is Lacrahl, Lacrahl. That is the second one. So what that is, you don't know. That's just what the label said on the original map.
Sounds like an IKEA furniture name.
So that one is about 3.5 days travel time, kind of in a different direction to the Golden Palace one. And the third one is 4 days travel time. It's counterclockwise from your current position, so completely the opposite direction to the Golden Palace. And that also has a name. This happens to be one of the ones that was flagged as possibly being part of the owned by the aliens who made the map, and that says Kaital. Those are kind of your three closest points of interest, I would say.
I'm curious about this missing star system. Do we maybe want to send a probe?
I would say that is quite some distance.
It is quite some distance.
Yeah, that would be... at the safe warp speeds, I think to get to that one would probably take you a couple of weeks.
Okay.
It's the speed limit is the thing here, because it's like at normal cruising speeds for the Tenzing, that would be like a day and a half's travel. At normal cruising speeds for the Tenzing, the Golden Palace would be like, okay, we'll be there in the it's morning now, we'll be there late afternoon or something like that. It's sort of It's just, yeah.
Do we perhaps want to go in that direction and send probes to the other two?
I said that the missing star system is not one of the three I said.
Okay. But it's missing.
Yeah, no, it is. Intriguing, isn't it?
I think probably go with what Murphy suggests. Travel to that planet and send probes out to the others.
When you say that planet, do you mean the Golden Palace, or do you mean...
The Golden Palace.
Okay.
And if the probes pick up something interesting, we can all... We're in short enough distance? We can make that.
Yeah, so we'll head to the Golden Palace. If the probes send anything back interesting, we'll go to that next. So that way, this way we pick one out, and then the other two will prioritize depending on what the probes return.
Sure.
I think it just spreads a wide enough net whilst going in a direction of a point of interest.
Yeah.
Until we get more information from anything. From the scans.
What does the good doctor think?
The good doctor thinks that none of this has to do with physical or mental health, and is somewhat out of her depth.
Surely a whole entire missing solar system doesn't just pique your interest a little.
It's interesting. I'll be fascinated to see what you discover.
Patch you back together when it all goes wrong. If. I don't want to.
Don't jinx us.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it.
This is tricky enough as it is, frankly.
Console just explodes in someone's face.
So yeah, okay, I think that's probably a pretty good plan then overall then. So heading in the direction of Golden Palace system, which is kind of like, you're still sort of skirting around the edge of the cluster, but you're kind of moving clockwise around it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That's about 3 days travel. Sending probes to the other two, one of which was kind of almost at a right angle to the way you're traveling, but kind of into the cluster. That was a Lacral. And the other one is almost the opposite way around the cluster. Which is, did I say that? Katal?
Yes.
I think that's how you said it, yeah.
Okay. We can probably say then that this is discussion that's had over all the things here, like the alien language thing, the star map thing, and then like a plan going forward. This is sort of discussion that's had over the course of, a little bit of time in the meeting, ending with a plan then of leaving behind BC 517 and the Nelson to continue their sort of they're kind of setting up like a sort of first outpost, really, aren't they, at this point? Mm-hmm. Sort of to leave them to it at this point, they're setting up a satellite network, and I think at this point as well, I will say, based on my timeline, they have still not heard yet back from the Auckland, but that is because the captain of the Auckland was, I think, had left with the impression that he was going to be like ultra cautious with the trip back. It was going to take even longer to do it, just to make sure everybody got back safe. So I think at this point, you could almost assume that they're still not back at Deep Space 3 yet.
Yeah.
They left on the 17th. It's now the 22nd. So it's been 5 days since they left. So not even quite been a week yet. And I think you took 3-4 days to get through the crossing the first time. So yeah.
At the speeds we were traveling initially, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything to worry about on that front. I'm just sort of saying they haven't heard back yet from the others, but yeah.
In theory, by the time they get back, the satellite relay will be ready.
Yeah, I mean, the Auckland was dropping subspace repeaters while you were making the crossing into the cluster, so calls out of the cluster and into the cluster can now be made. But the fact they haven't heard anything might just be because they're still at warp, and they're just taking their time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I think we'll kind of bring this morning meeting to a close then, with a plan for going forward, keeping the ship on yellow alert and an eye out for Romulans, but with travel plans about to be put into effect. I think, if you're all happy with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds solid to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want to have a quick moment at the end of this meeting then, I think, as you're all kind of making for the door. Murphy, as you're sort of standing up and I guess picking up sort of whatever pads and things you had with you, Commander Talin says, Commander Murphy, may I have a word, please?
Yes, Commander.
I wish to discuss one of your officers.
Which one, sir?
Ensign Conought. She's holding a pad and you can see that she's got Johnny's service record open on it. It has come to my attention that as of 0900 ship time today, Ensign Conought has completed 1 year's service aboard the Tenzing. As such, I wish to discuss a change in his living situation.
You want him to have his own quarters, sir?
Indeed, Commander. As you are aware, it is ship's tradition that all first-year ensigns are assigned to shared living quarters, but following this period, we reassess, based on their commanding officer's recommendations. How would you describe his recent performance?
Well, I have to say that he has stepped up under our guidance and our predecessor's guidance, so I would agree that he has earned it.
I'm pleased to hear that. His accomplishments are of course listed in his service record, but I wish to hear your personal assessment of his achievements before proceeding.
I think he's got a really good career ahead of him, sir. And I think he's shown a great deal of maturity in these past few months.
10. We joined Johnny, and he's stood with a set of weights, and he's doing some fairly basic kind of bicep curls.
11.
But he's turning to Bonge every now and again and kind of pointing to his arm and being like, I think I've really mastered the form here.
12.
What do you think?
Bonge puts down his slug of cola. Looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, no, I think I am looking pretty good. And in the cheesiest way, he brings his bicep up and gives it a little kiss.
13.
And then proceeds to continue working out.
So you're in your quarters while this is happening then, I take it?
Yes.
Got some music playing in the background. It's kind of like a boys' morning in. I think you're both on the afternoon shift and just kind of hanging out before work.
Yeah, just chit-chatting, whittering on about the kind of gossip on the ship, I suppose. Johnny's probably a little bit like that, I think. Security-minded, any rumours and stuff. It's useful to hear these things.
So, you had any other rumours going on? What's happening in security division right now?
Well, aside from the major kind of stuff that's happening, there's been a few more unusual things that I've heard tell of.
Yeah?
For some reason, one particular ensign on the ship has their tricorder that keeps disappearing, and it keeps turning up on the other side of the ship where they don't work.
Huh.
And we've not managed to figure anything out with that yet, but just a bit inexplicable. But who knows? Could be some weirdo picking it up, taking it somewhere.
You got any theories?
Well, that's my first one. It's just
some
somebody out
weirdo.
there.
Yeah.
Who knows? Could be some confused suitor.
There's all kind of freaks out there.
Yeah, some of them drink Sluggo Cola, I hear.
Hey, nothing wrong with Sluggo Cola. Got natural swampy goodness.
Yeah. You read the back of the can to me anytime you like, mate.
So who's this ensign then? Who keeps losing their tricorder?
Ensign Mitchell is who it is. I don't know if you've bumped into them possibly around the ship.
I think they joined I think they were on the shuttle with me when I came up from Earth. It's the guy I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I think, you're right now that I think about it. Yeah, it's them that's misplaced it, and well, they're getting a bit of a ribbing for it. Well, I say misplaced, as I say, mystery.
Maybe the ship's haunted.
Ooh.
No, I'm serious. You've heard of ghost ships, right? What if this is one of them?
I'm not really one for the fantastical. I think there's probably an explanation.
Oh.
I mean, I've heard tell of this. Well, there's a legend. I don't really believe that the records are out there or freely available necessarily, but I hear tell that there was a time on the Enterprise in Picard's kind of era where there was a thing with a ghost, the Doctor, crazy stuff. Ultimately, it was an alien, is what I'm getting at here.
So you think there's some kind of, you think this is some kind of like tricorder stealing ghost alien?
Well, no. I think maybe they just put it down and forgot about it, or, as I said, somebody else is moving it. But hey, if you want to believe in ghosts, Bond,
weirder things out there.
Oh, I'll put my weights down. Enter.
Facing you in the doorway as it opens is the ship's first officer, Commander T'Lyn. Ah, good morning, Ensign Conought. She nods at Bond. Ensign Bond. Good morning, Commander.
Commander, what can I do for you?
Ensign, it has come to my attention that as of 0900 this morning, you have completed a year's service aboard the Tenzing. Congratulations.
Wow, time flies. Thank you. But, I mean, it's a bit much for you to come here just to tell me that. What's happening?
As you are aware, first-year ensigns aboard the Tenzing share quarters. As you are no longer a first-year ensign, I am here to facilitate your transfer to solo living quarters, should you desire.
Oh, and Johnny smiles quite broadly. Oh, fantastic. Does that mean that my friend here is getting this cabin to himself?
Temporarily, although Ensign Bond will most likely receive a replacement cabin mate if and when the Tenzing takes aboard new crew members.
Well, Johnny will turn his head towards Bond with the smile on his face and just be like, well, enjoy it while it lasts, buddy. And, well, I really appreciate the opportunity to get my own space, and thank you very much, Commander.
Of course. She taps a couple of buttons on her pad, and a schematic of a different floor of the ship appears on your room's screen, with one of the crew cabins highlighted. The indicated quarters will be your new assignment. Good day. As she turns to go, you notice a slight odd expression on her face as she takes one last look at you, and it is then that you realise you have been shirtless this whole time.
Oh dear.
I wipe the sweat off my forehead and well, could have happened under slightly less embarrassing circumstances, I guess. But, well, as I said, Bond, enjoy. Here we go. Got my own room, finally.
Oh, we can still hang out though, right?
Oh, of course. Absolutely. You're welcome to come to my room anytime. And I'm sure I'll get nostalgic and I'll be back here now and again.
I mean, it's no hurry. Sure. I mean, we hang out. We're still hanging out now, right?
Oh, totally. You can help me pack. And Johnny's kind of it's like a smile and like a ribbing attitude. Just like, we're good enough friends at this point. I think that Bond ultimately would hopefully be like, he gets the angle.
Yeah. I think you're picking up. I won't make you roll for this. I think you're picking up a little bit of disappointment from Bond, because he quite enjoyed having you as a roommate, even though you've kind of only been together like 6 weeks or so. But like, he's, this is his first assignment out of Starfleet Academy, and he feels like, it's been going pretty well. And then
I think Johnny's also like a little bit disappointed that there's not going to be more of an opportunity to like get closer to him, like hanging out all the time kind of a deal. But the smell of that slug of cola, quietly,
that's really turned your stomach a little bit.
His own space. Yeah.
Fair enough. So your quarters up to now have been on Deck 9, and you are being moved up to Deck 8.
Okay.
Which I think from Bond is, he doesn't moan or complain, but like, he helps you move your stuff, and when he realizes you're not just like going to be down the corridor, he sort of like, you again get like a little bit of like a feeling of disappointment from him, of like, oh, okay, moving away, huh? Sort of like feeling.
I mean, noting this, Johnny would be saying things like, come on, it's only a turbo lift away.
Well, just don't go jumping on the ceiling.
I'll try my best to not drop my weights, but old habits die hard.
Yeah. So yeah, you find your way, I guess, to your new quarters, which are pretty well identical to the current quarters, except with a single. I guess you probably would get a larger bed in here. Mm-hmm. You've been on kind of like a bunk up till now, but you actually get a double bed.
Nice.
So yeah, you move it. It doesn't take you long, I think. Johnny, you've got some stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, a few bits and pieces.
Do you think maybe it takes a couple of trips? I
think between the two of them, I mean, it's not like the clothes and stuff. A lot of that, they never show it, but like, would you really do laundry in that world where it's like, just chuck it in the replicator?
They do show it one time in Star Trek Discovery. At the start of a day, they get a fresh uniform out of the replicator.
There we go. So there's no clothes. You've just probably got a few personal effects and the weights.
You've got your personal clothes though, because you've dressed up in your kind of Bajoran style bits and pieces. I think probably dress uniform, and that maybe that's like a more specific thing.
It's enough between maybe the two of them to do it in one go. But Johnny's the type where he's going to be loading himself pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Like his idea of that might be Bond's challenge.
Yeah, Bond isn't particularly like buff and like carrying heavy weights around and things. So yeah, I think you get settled into your new apartment, I guess. Like I say, you still don't have a window, but you just got a little bit more breathing room. You got a little bit more, like, you can make this space your own a little bit. You're still an ensign, so that hence no window or anything. It's not like you've been bumped up to like, I got a nice view out into space. Like, no, it's still pretty similar. But yeah,
we'll get there.
We'll get there one day, maybe.
Well, yeah, Johnny will settle in. I suppose he'll walk around the room a little bit in front of Bond's bench. So much space. We're really going to be able to kind of like do some different exercises in here, I think.
Just flips and stuff.
Just doing static backflips just on the spot.
Bond just like, well, yeah, I'll be able to. I can spread out too. I can, really make use of the room, and I don't know with what, but I'll find a way.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: it's going to be easier to bring girls back, right?
Yeah. we were doing that a lot of the time.
Johnny's full of hope.
Remember that thing that Murphy said about maturity and,
I'm leaning into this.
Yeah. So is Johnny planning on bringing girls back then? Is that just the question?
I mean, roommates are not helpful for that.
The world is your oyster now, though. That's what we're saying.
Indeed.
Fair enough. Johnny, you settle into your room then. And I think we can fade out on you. I think the mental image I have is of like a sort of satisfied Johnny with like looking around with his hands on his hips, like, yeah, this is my space now, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, that works. And then getting back to exercise. Well, in fact, he's doing that in front of the mirror, enjoying the posing for a moment, and then getting back to the exercise.
Straight back into it. Yeah.
14.
I think I want to jump next to Ireela.
Yes.
So you leave the morning meeting, and I'm assuming heading back down to sickbay.
Mm-hmm.
As you sort of enter, I think it would be as close as like the corridor outside sickbay, you start to sort of pick up on, I want to say it's like an oddly kind of familiar, like a kind of emotional vibe in the air. And you can't immediately place it until you step in to sickbay, just in time to sort of catch a view of your nephew, who seems to be sharing quite a close laugh with one of your nurse ensigns. This is Nurse Piper. And she laughs very, very loudly at something he said. And you just see her lean in and give him a kiss on the cheek before she turns back to her work. And it's then that you place what it is that you were picking up. It's something that I think you yourself have sort of tried to get away from in your move to get away from some of the people on the homeworld, but that is just a little bit of Deltan pheromone charisma sort of being put out by your nephew, and he might not even know he's doing it. You can't help but sort of catch it, sort of like, oh god, this, I'd forgotten about this, is kind of the feeling, I think.
Damn. Basically.
Yeah. The thing as well is that Nurse Piper, you happen to know, has a partner. I don't think he sort of sees you come in and kind of like hides. You know, he's not like, oh shit, you know, better end this conversation, because Nurse Piper's turned back to her work. But yeah, like I say, I mean, I think it's only because you yourself are Deltan that you immediately kind of pick up on it. And I mean, you picked up on it outside in the corridor, essentially. It's probably invisible to every single other, you know, to most people in here.
Oh dear. Ireela's going to, as she comes in and realises this, stop and watch for a moment. And kind of like, okay, I'm going to walk over to my nephew and tell him to follow me into my office.
Are you putting out like a you're in trouble kind of feeling, or you, because bearing in mind obviously he's an empath as well, like would he be picking up on a disappointed vibe or something? What are you putting out? It's about what I'm sort of saying here.
Not so much that he is in trouble. It's more, okay, I need to give you a warning so you don't get yourself in trouble and don't cause trouble for anyone else. So it's not, he's not in trouble, he's not doing this deliberately.
Right, yeah.
It's oh yes, I forgot about this. Come with me.
He sort of, yeah, okay, so I think as you come across to him and sort of say that, you see a sort of quick kind of recognition in his eyes of like, there's I think initial confusion of like, what? Oh, you know, sort of, well, kind of like, what have I done, you know, what's going on kind of thing, before he immediately like it clicks and he's like, oh okay, yeah, sure. And he follows you into your office. I think, but the door closes and the first thing he says, we were just chatting. We're just chatting. She was helping me with showing me the best way to get a cell sample, and yeah, we're just friends. I think it's a very quick defense kind of that he's gone into defense mode straight away, I think, you know.
Yeah. Do you remember the effect that we can have on non-Deltans?
Well, yeah.
And the fact that while they react, or many species react to our pheromones, they don't know that is what they are reacting to.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I said we were just chatting.
Then why could I sense your pheromones from the corridor?
I think he blushes like straight away as soon as you say this. Well, one, because that's a pretty embarrassing thing to have happen. I don't know if he has anything to say to that, other than like he sort of blushes and kind of looks at his feet.
Ireela smiles at him. You're not in trouble. This isn't me giving you a row. This isn't an official reprimand. You don't need to worry too much, okay? Just keep it in mind. It's not easy being a Deltan in Starfleet.
I think he takes the encouragement in your words in the spirit that you're offering them. He's not continuing to argue.
If this had happened off duty, I wouldn't be quite so concerned. You're still not allowed to act on it. But not in sickbay.
Yeah. Of course.
When we have patients, they are when they're wounded or sick, it's easier for pheromones to affect many of them.
I didn't even think.
And that won't necessarily be a good situation for you either.
Yeah. I'll be more careful.
I know.
I think you can't help but think back to it's been quite a few years, but your interactions with his mother, your sister-in-law, she was very much a Deltan who was very into influencing people, and whether that's with like empathic powers or pheromones or what, that was her. He was, and while he's by and large, through the, he's been on board for a little while now, and all your interactions with him, you're pretty confident that he's not following fully in how his mother was. It's clear she's had a little bit of an influence on him growing up.
He's also still quite young.
Yeah, he's like 21, 22.
And I would fully expect cadets on a mission to be more easily distracted.
Yeah.
But the last thing you want is an injured patient who catches like the edge of your pheromones and suddenly becomes obsessed with you.
You can see it, as you say, there's like a look goes over his face as I think maybe he's running through his head all the patients that he's dealt with over the last week or two, and like there's a sort of growing, not feeling of horror, but like a kind of like, oh no, kind of like, he wouldn't be into that with some, is all I'm saying. Yeah.
He's inadvertently become the ship's stud.
But only with people who are in
clinging to life.
Terrible injuries. No,
I'm missing a leg, but you're gorgeous.
I think he's taken on board what you're saying here with a measure of like I say, not horror, but like you've definitely given him some food for thought here. This, I think, was maybe a lesson caught just at the right time here.
Yeah. Though I really will add that this is the first time I have noticed any hint of Deltan pheromones since you've been aboard. So I don't think you need to worry. Just a reminder. I don't want you in any difficult situations.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll
Well, if you do end up in a bad situation, tell me. Okay?
I will. Yeah.
You can go.
Okay. Thanks. I've got work to do. You see him sort of looks down at the floor again as he leaves. Through the door, you can see as he walks out, even though like he's straight up buttoned, he's not putting out anything. You do see Nurse Piper just stealing a glance at him again as he crosses the sick bay. She's still feeling the after effects, I think.
Ireela just kind of puts her face in her hands and is like, no accidental seducing half the people on board, please.
Okay. I think I want to check in with Rai now. We're kind of going to jump back a little bit again to the end of that meeting as it's kind of breaking up. And I think as you're leaving, the captain just sort of touches you on the shoulder and says, Commander, I know I mentioned it before briefly, but now that we're set on going to this Golden Palace system, I wondered if you had a chance to talk to Lady Rai yet, see if she had any insights.
Not as of yet, Captain. It's on the to-do list. But if I have a bit of time now, I can always see if she's available.
Well, if you have the time, that'll be good, yes. I'm sure she'd appreciate being involved in, anything trill-related at the very least. She has joined the expedition as an ambassador after all, so keeping her in the loop on things like this is Probably something we are to get into the habit of doing.
Yes, absolutely, Captain. I will go and arrange to have a chat with her about what this Golden Palace might indicate for us.
Good.
Yes, I'll get right on that, Captain.
I appreciate that. Let me know if she has any insights that might be useful.
Aye, sir.
Okay.
And then Ray sort of takes a moment and just sort of thinks, oh, I've got to talk to her, have I? I did. It is an order from the captain, so I should do it. And then he sort of walks off, mentally prepping himself for the conversation with this woman that he's there's not particularly any love lost to this person.
Yeah, I mean, warranted or not. You're heading down to the guest quarters now then, I take it.
Ray heads down to the guest quarter deck.
Mm-hmm. It's not too far down. Guest quarters are...
Deck 7?
VIP guest accommodations are on deck 5.
Oh, fair enough, not that far. As he gets into the turbo lift, he says, Computer, what is the current location of Lady Ilara Ral?
Their quarters. Deck 5.
Okay. Deck 5. And then
turbo lift. Yeah, turbo lift starts up, and it's a short journey down to deck 5.
I emerge from the turbo lift on deck 5, and I use the computer terminal to...
Yeah, I mean, easily done. We can just...
Directions to our quarters, yeah.
Yeah, there's not a huge amount of different... These are VIP. They're basically suites, you know. It's not like one room. There's only a few of them on this corridor, and there's not a lot of VIPs using them right now. So, you're able to easily find your way.
Right, so I make my way to Lady Ral's quarters, and when I get there, I take a deep breath. And then I press the ringer.
There's a brief pause, and the door opens, and you are facing the butler of Lady Ral, who I don't know if you yourself met. The others did, but facing you is I want to say, you'd put him kind of late 50s, unjoined trill.
Okay.
In quite a smart sort of suit. He's quite sort of thin-faced. Sort of looks down his nose at you. May I help you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was wondering if I could speak to Lady Ral.
One moment. Who shall I say is calling?
Lieutenant Commander Sabin Rai.
One moment. The door closes in your face.
Okay. Nearly got my nose, but okay.
A moment passes, and the door slides open again. Lady Ral will see you now, if you'll follow me.
Thank you. Lead on.
And, leads you into kind of a sort of a lounge area. Lady Ral is in quite a nice-looking armchair, reading from a pad. There's a wide view out the windows here. There's a very nice view out into space. Much better than the blank wall that Johnny has. And she looks up as you enter. The butler says, Lieutenant Commander Sabin Rai, was it, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Lieutenant Commander Sabin Rai, your ladyship. Good morning, Commander. Please, take a seat. Gestures to another armchair.
Thank you, Lady Ral. Do you prefer lady or ambassador?
Let's stick with lady for now. Haven't had a chance yet to do much in the way of ambassadoring, have I?
Is this your first go-around of ambassadorial duty?
Oh no, but the first in this particular joining.
I must say, it's I almost didn't recognize you when you first came on board.
Indeed, you were unconscious at the time, if I recall.
Yes, that is very true. But I owe you some thanks. I'm to understand that it was you that suggested particular treatments to the medical staff on board. It may very well have saved my life. Thank you.
Of course. I know better than most how awkward the Symbiosis Commission can be sometimes, especially with outsiders.
They can, among other things. But nonetheless, thank you. To the reason that I wanted to speak with you this morning. The Tenzing is currently on its way to a planet within this part of the cluster, which we've discovered essentially has a designation of Golden Palace. Well, we believe there is a connection to the Trill. We have found some writings and some other elements on the planet which points to our race potentially having been here before, long before Starfleet.
Really?
The captain thought that you might be able to help us shed some light on the discoveries that have been made. Does the name Golden Palace ring any bells for you in terms of our history?
Golden Palace. Well, I can think of perhaps one connection. Before the Symbiosis Commission held the power it now does, and before the wider homeworld fully embraced the will of the people in determining the government, we fought on the homeworld a brief but bloody civil war. You see, there were certain factions which held the view that those of us blessed to be joined with a symbiote should rule over those who did not receive this blessing. Rule with something of an iron fist, if you will.
I see.
There were many of these groups in a loose coalition, doomed to fail, of course, as all tyrants are, but one of the stronger of those groups had something of a rallying cry, a dream they sold to potential followers. They would rule from a golden palace above those below. Those who are unworthy.
So potentially, this planet, or this system, would have been where they wanted to set up shop, as it were.
Oh no, you misunderstand me, dear. They didn't wish to set up shop on some other world. They wished to rule the home world, Trill. They wished to rule over all of us. Forever. Thankfully, they lost the war. Many of them were killed in the fighting. Many of them arrested. The rest cast out, fleeing the homeworld in whatever starships they could get their hands on at the time.
Possibly came out to this region of space.
Perhaps. The fate of most of these groups is unknown. Very many were never heard from again, thankfully.
Was it a case of once they left, they weren't a problem for the home world? Once they were beyond reach?
Something like that, yes. Our priorities were elsewhere. A new government was being formed. Reconstruction was happening after the war, and we simply didn't have the resources to go chasing after every small gang that stole a starship and, let's be honest, voluntarily left the Trill system. At least until we joined the Federation, that is.
Was there any effort after Trill joined the Federation to seek out any of these exiles that didn't return and integrate? Or was it literally a case of, we have washed our hands of you?
I do not believe there was any serious effort to track them down, no. But by the time Trill joined the Federation, it had of course nearly been 200 years since the war itself had occurred. Many wished to simply put this dark chapter of our people's history behind them.
Yes. And by now, they'd either moved on or just faded into history.
Space can be dangerous, as I'm sure you know, Commander.
Yes. Almost as dangerous as climbing mountains on Earth.
I've heard this, yes.
I'm sorry. I need to report back to the captain. Thank you for your help with this matter. I'm sure we might need to call upon you again when the time comes, when we reach the Golden Palace.
Of course. Happy to help. Oh, and Commander, would you be a dear and remind the captain of our afternoon tea engagement later on? He can get so forgetful.
Afternoon tea, yes. Certainly, Lady Ral. Thank you. I'll see myself out. Good day.
Good day, Commander. A pleasure to talk.
Ray gets up and, I won't say he runs out of there, but he kind of walks at a pace, kind of steps around the butler.
I was going to say, the butler has appeared again, sort of almost ushering you out.
Yeah, but he sort of steps around him, kind of, and then out the door. And then Ray gets into the corridor, and he walks a little way back up the way he came, and then he stops and kind of puts a hand up to his forehead and just kind of does that kind of squeeze that you do with your fingers when you're feeling a bit tense about something.
Yeah.
And then he comes down off his fingers come off of his forehead, and he forms a sort of a fist, and then he thinks about hitting the wall, but then he just kind of puts the fist into his chest and takes a really deep breath, and then he calms. And then, right, that's done with. Back to the bridge, and then heads over to a turbo lift.
Okay. I want to check in with Murphy.
Okay.
A little bit later on in the day. I think preparations are kind of being made for the ship to depart the system. And I think in the meantime, you've probably gone down to your office and sort of made sure things are being prepared and such.
Yeah, I'd imagine she's probably making sure that the sensor sweeps are going ahead.
Oh yes, for the Romulan side. I mean, yeah, we've been at yellow alert this whole time and everything. And yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you've kind of gotten notice of like the preparations are proceeding, and it's kind of getting towards sort of shift change, and it's looking like the ship is going to be departing the system within the hour. So if you wanted to, you had time to have a break, have some dinner and such before that, or if you wanted to, you could head back to the bridge if you wanted to be there for departure. It's totally up to you where you go with this.
I think she'd probably head off duty. Maybe get some food first and then make her way to her quarters, probably.
Yeah, okay. Would you be getting food from a specific place, or are you just thinking, like... Well, what are you thinking?
I imagine Murphy has got, like, a specific replicator that she goes to.
It's her favourite one.
Yeah, it never lets her down. She's probably got her mug with her as well.
I can't remember if I said... I can't remember if it was on this ship or whether it was on the Nelson, where one of the officers' lounges had been made into, like, an Italian restaurant.
I think it was one of the others.
Yes, no, yeah, because you said you had a pub. That was it.
Yes,
yeah.
We have a pub.
Yeah. Would that be the one to go to, I think?
Yeah, it would probably be. Yeah, she'd probably have us sit down in there.
Okay. So yeah, you spend a little bit of time, I guess, having food and such, and wrapping it up. It's kind of quiet in here tonight. I think preparations are proceeding for the departure. This isn't, not that it's expected to be like a kind of like particularly dangerous or strenuous kind of departure. I think it's just sort of, there's a little bit of kind of anticipation of like, okay, we're going further into the cluster kind of thing. And I think this particular officer's lounge is not one that's kind of open to anyone kind of a lieutenant and under, I think.
Okay.
Ensigns don't come in here so much. It's lieutenant and up, I think, is what I mean by that, more than anything else. Which I know we've had that for the officers' lounge where karaoke was, but I don't know if we specified this was the same room. It might be the same room, actually. It's not important. Either way, it's a little quiet in here, is all I'm saying. So you're able to get kind of like a moment's peace to have your meal. It's not empty. There's one or two other people in here, just sort of quietly having a drink or reading and that. But yeah, you finish up your meal and you step into a turbo lift on the way to your quarters and find it's already occupied as you step in. There is a human ensign who is he's just kind of stood in the back. His eyes, I think, go a little wide as you step in. He's not one of your staff. He's in an operations uniform, and he sort of steps to the back to give you room to step in with him.
Ensign?
The Lieutenant Commander. It's good to see you again.
Does Murphy recognize him?
Not from the ship. I was saying, it takes you a moment. This is a face that you haven't seen for a long time. Finally, the penny drops. This is someone who you knew growing up, and as far as you knew, had dropped out of Starfleet. He was in the academy at the same time as you were.
Oh god, is it the pilot?
It is the pilot guy, someone who has been mentioned before on this episode.
I remember his name.
This is someone who you knew as Paul Mitchell. You know as an empty tricorder pouch on his on his belt. As I said, it takes you a couple of seconds for the penny to drop before I guess you turn back round to look at him again. He's same age as you. He's several ranks below you. Now he's an ensign, but you specifically remember him being very angry when you were at the academy and dropping out to go join the McKee.
Mitchell, I'm surprised to see you here, actually.
It's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah. I was surprised as well when I transferred aboard and saw you were one of the senior staff, huh?
Yeah, a recent development. Still finding my feet, but it's going well. How have you been?
Yeah, pretty good. Well, no, I mean, it's been a long road getting here. The war was hard, and yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of losses, but we got victory in the end.
Yeah, I lost a lot of good people. I didn't really have much left at the end of the war, and so I made my way back to the academy, I guess. Didn't seem like I had many other options, but yeah. Several years later, here I am, the old ensign.
You'll find your way. You always do. You always were a dab hand at flying, so...
Yeah, well, I'll try not to crash the ship.
Yeah, please don't. I would like to get back to regular space after this mission's over.
Yeah, me too, yeah. Well, this is a long elevator ride, isn't it? The doors open at that point, and he stands there awkwardly for a second. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. You should grab a drink sometime.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Just gonna tip her mug. And
I still got that, huh?
Never go anywhere without it.
And the doors close.
Murphy's gonna lean back against the turbo lift as it moves off and just think about growing up together and briefly just like chuckling into her mug.
Yeah, you've got some good childhood memories, some bad memories of the evacuation, I think.
Yeah. From
the colony we're on, where I think his parents didn't really make it out of that either. And the months-long trip to Earth, and you had family waiting for you. He didn't. And
yeah.
yeah, he definitely had a worse time than you did. And I say, lost track of him after he dropped out of the academy, I think. But yeah, it's been some time. It's probably been 9 years, I think, since then.
Yeah, probably. She probably heard that he'd been in the McKee, probably from like through reports and stuff. But then with the war and everything, probably lost track of him again.
Yeah, and the thing is, most of the McKee were wiped out in the war just by the Dominion and that. So
yeah, probably thought he was dead.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a pretty touchy subject for him, as a lot of the McKee were killed in the war. Maybe a conversation to have with him another day, though. So, Murphy, as you head off shift and down to your quarters, it's not long before the on-duty crews complete the final preparations for departure. And on the captain's order, the Tenzing jumps to warp, leaving behind the first foothold in the Bermuda Cluster that you've made, and headed for perhaps the first proper mystery, the star system known only to you as Golden Palace. Alright, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time on Thursday, August the 21st for the next chapter of this story, and we hope you'll all join us for that. In the meantime, you can head to pretendingwithdice.com for links to all of our online presences, including our Discord server, social media pages, merch store, and much, much more. So yeah, for now, that's our show. We hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.